Honda doesn't build prestige. It builds the thing everyone on Earth needs, movement. But here's the part almost nobody realizes. Honda produces 17 million motorcycles a year, and the way they do it is so extreme, so efficient, so beyond traditional manufacturing that most factories can't even comprehend it. Harley makes 170,000 Honda, does that before lunch. So what's the secret? How does one company build a motorcycle that just doesn't quit? Millions of times over? To answer that, we're going inside the one place Honda almost never shows, the Kumamoto Factory, a production hub so advanced, it looks less like a motorcycle plant and more like a futuristic laboratory. This is where the real story starts, because once you see how Honda actually makes a motorcycle, you'll never look at mass production the same way again. Honda's approach to manufacturing begins with a grounded belief. A motorcycle should come from the same world as the rider who depends on it. That is why the company spreads its production across continents, building machines in the environments where they will live their entire working lives. In the heat-soaked workshops of Rayong, technicians shape commuter bikes built for Southeast Asia's dense traffic and monsoon seasons. Far across the globe, in the Manaus facility tucked beside the Amazon, crews assemble models tuned for long stretches of uneven pavement, heavy rainfall, and the day-to-day demands of riders who treat a motorcycle as essential transportation rather than weekend entertainment. Each location carries its own character. In Rayong, the morning air feels thick before sunrise, and paint booths work hard to maintain stable humidity for flawless finishes. In Manaus, the welders begin their shifts with a rhythm that echoes through the entire complex, a steady pulse that grounds the workday. These places shape the motorcycles themselves, giving every region a machine that moves naturally through its local roads and weather. Building close to the customer reaches beyond geography. It creates a human connection between the person on the line and the person who will trust that machine every single day. When a worker in Western India assembles a scooter destined for a nearby village, there is an unspoken understanding. This machine must start on the first push, must survive rough pavement, must carry a family's groceries without complaint, that proximity sharpens responsibility. Of course, this strategy demands enormous effort. Honda must train local teams, replicate complex processes, and keep dozens of supply chains synchronized across oceans. Yet the reward is unmatched agility. Factories respond to local demand almost instantly, shaping mobility through communities rather than around them. Honda looks at distance the way it looks at any barrier, as something that can be engineered away. But this idea, this belief that mobility should reach everyone, didn't appear overnight. It was built step by step, through bold choices that reshaped the company and the industry. And that's why the next section matters. We're going back into Honda's past to see how a small shop solved problems big enough to carry it across continents. These milestones explain everything. Why Honda's factories function in sync, why its standards are identical worldwide, and why its motorcycles feel the same in Tokyo, Sao Paulo, or Nairobi. If you want to understand the engine driving Honda's global success, this is the chapter that unlocks the whole story. Honda's journey from a cramped post-war shed to a worldwide manufacturing power did not happen through luck. It grew step by step, each milestone building the discipline that now defines the company's modern plants. The story begins in the late 1940s when the Dream D-Type emerged from a narrow wooden workshop in Hamamatsu. The space was little more than a crowded bench scattered with hand files, oil-stained rags, and pencil sketches pinned along the walls. Yet the determination inside that room carried more weight than any tool former workers remembered, those long nights with a mix of pride and anxiety. One engineer summed it up simply: if it fails today, we return in the morning and try again. That unshakable spirit became Honda's first real asset. Roughly a decade later, the company made a daring move that surprised even its own employees. It opened its first overseas operation in the United States. For a young Japanese manufacturer still learning to scale production at home, placing a dealership sign in Southern California felt monumental. Many inside the company described that moment as the instant when their work no longer belonged solely to Japan, it belonged to riders halfway around the world. By the mid-1980s, Honda reached a milestone that reflected its evolving identity. The company celebrated building 50 million motorcycles, a number achieved through consistent accuracy rather than shortcuts or hasted engineers, spoke of that achievement as hearing the future knock on the door, a realization that their process had become strong enough to grow without losing its soul. These moments shaped the foundation of Honda's modern system: disciplined layouts, repeatable procedures, and a methodical rhythm that turns ideas into dependable machines. History explains the why, but the factory floor shows the how. And if this history is helping you finally see the engine behind Honda's global success, do me a favor, hit like, drop a hype in the comments, and subscribe. It's the simplest way to support the channel and keep us fueled to bring you the most essential, overlooked, and genuinely important insights in the motorcycle world. Now that we understand the roots of Honda's philosophy, it's time to step into the environment where that philosophy becomes reality. The next segment pulls back the curtain on Honda's standardized factory model, the blueprint that turns ideas into millions of identical, reliable machines. This is where you see the method behind the scale, the layouts, the tooling, the choreography of processes that make mass-produced perfection not just possible but predictable. Step inside any Honda motorcycle plant, Kumamoto in Japan, Manaus in Brazil, or Rayong in Thailand, and the first thing you feel is the calm order of a system perfected over generations. Every facility follows the same modular blueprint: mirrored workstations, carefully marked flow lanes, color-coded Kanban boards, and tool racks positioned so a technician can reach what they need with a single step. This uniform design is Honda's quiet fingerprint, a pattern so refined that a brand new factory on a distant continent can begin producing motorcycles with the same confidence, as the company's most seasoned site. Standardization here is not just about moving faster. It is about protecting the quality that millions of riders count on. When a fresh plant comes online, the first welded frame or the first assembled engine does not feel like a trial run. It feels like a continuation of a method already proven to work. New employees sense that reassurance immediately. A trainee in Vietnam or Western India recognizes the station layout before touching a tool, the familiar torque wrenches, the digital checklists, the orderly flow of the line. That familiarity builds comfort, and comfort builds consistency. Think of this modular production system as a recipe. Each station is a measured ingredient, and every factory follows the same instructions. Model changes are the seasoning, shifted to suit different markets, yet the result remains unmistakably Honda. This predictable rhythm allows the company to scale its output while keeping mistakes rare and quality steady. Standard processes reduce variation, but they only work when machines and people align perfectly. Having seen the factory template, it's time to dive into the technologies that enforce that precision: the machining, the robotics, and the control systems that make Honda quality more than a promise. It's a guarantee. Next, we move inside the ultra-clean cells where every micrometer matters, and engineering tolerance becomes a standard you can see, touch, and trust. If Honda's modular layout provides the script, its advanced machining cells supply the music. Inside Kumamoto, long before a frame reaches the line, the craft begins in immaculate rooms where the air feels almost weightless. These spaces are filtered so thoroughly that dust rarely survives a full breath. Here, solid aluminum blocks take their first steps toward becoming engine. Cases, computer-controlled cutters, shave the metal with tolerances measured in microscopic slivers. One veteran technician likes to joke that if a machine sighs, the part will complain. Watching those cutters glide across the surface, the comment feels closer to truth than humor. That accuracy is not academic. It becomes real the moment a rider pulls onto the highway. A cleaner cylinder bore softens engine noise. A perfectly matched gear set eases wear and smooths acceleration. Friction drops, heat falls, and longevity rises. It is one reason a Goldwing Flat 6 can cover hundreds of thousands of miles without losing its composure. Its core was born in a room where error is treated like contamination. Robotics handle the heavy choreography. In the welding cells, mechanized arms trace perfect seams with the steadiness of a metronome. In the paint halls, their sweeping motions look almost balletic as they lay down coatings that appear identical from panel to panel. Yet Honda never leans on automation as a replacement for judgment. Walk the engine line and you will occasionally spot a technician stopping a machine to nudge a measurement by a whisper of a margin. That tiny correction carries more weight than any sensor. It is the moment a part stops being acceptable and becomes trustworthy. Machines can craft parts with microscopic precision, but a perfect part doesn't make a motorcycle ready for the road. What transforms precision into trust is human skill. The specialized training, the relentless inspections, and the culture of continuous improvement that lives behind every Honda badge hold on to this idea. Human guardianship is what turns machinery into reliability. Next, we step into the place where the final, critical check happens, where automation stops and the human eye decides if a motorcycle is ready to carry someone safely into the world. This is where Honda's promise of perfection is truly proven. Even in a facility shaped by automation, Honda's strongest advantage remains the person standing at the station. Every technician who enters Kumamoto begins with a training ritual that feels more like an apprenticeship than an orientation. Before they touch a power tool, they spend hours repeating hand assembly exercises designed to sharpen Instinct 1 drill. Threading bolts and tightening them purely by feel teaches workers to sense torque with their fingertips, long before a digital gauge confirms it. The pace is slow, deliberate, and almost meditative. But that discipline becomes the backbone of Honda's pursuit of zero-error manufacturing. Walk the floor, and you can read the culture in their movements. There is a calm vigilance in the way each worker studies gauges, listens to bearing noise, or scans surfaces for imperfections. They know that in a system built to produce enormous volume, they serve as the final shield against the rare flaw no robot can detect. You see it when a specialist halts a part mid-flow, leans close, and spots a faint blemish on an engine casing or a connector sitting a breath out of line. Those tiny catches protect the trust rider's place in the badge. Each role is refined, not interchangeable. One technician may spend years mastering electrical harnesses. Another becomes an expert in throttle body calibration. Another develops an EAR for the subtleties of internal engine drag. All carry the same quiet principle. Quality begins with people who take pride in details others might overlook. Training gives workers precision, but their most critical contribution comes after the machines finish their work. Following this, we move into the stage where every motorcycle must earn its approval before leaving the factory. The next section reveals the layered inspections and final checks that stand between production speed and unwavering reliability. And this is where the story tightens toward its most demanding standards. The pace inside the Kumamoto plant shifts as we enter the machining halls, a place where raw aluminum begins its transformation into the heart of a Honda motorcycle. The roar of heavy presses fades into a gentler rhythm here, a steady, deliberate hum shaped by tools designed to cut with tolerances thinner than a human hair. This is the realm where precision is not just engineered, it is nurtured. Cooled metal blocks glide into multi-axis cutting centers, each one guided by software that regulates the tool path down to the thousandth of an inch. These machines carve crankshafts, cylinder bores, and bearing surfaces with a consistency that would be impossible by hand. Yet the room never feels cold or clinical. Operators stand close, watching the spray of coolant, listening for the slightest change in tone, ready to step in long before an error ever appears on a screen. A technician lifts a freshly milled cylinder head and places it beneath a coordinate measuring arm. The probe moves with a softness that feels almost human, confirming each contour with microscopic awareness. If a surface drifts even a breath outside its allowable range, the entire batch pauses. There are no shortcuts here. Not when these parts will one day spin at thousands of revolutions per minute, miles from this quiet room. Every component that leaves this space carries a silent promise, strength, balance, and longevity built into the metal itself. But machining is only the foundation. The true complexity of Honda's engineering emerges in the next phase, where these immaculate pieces begin to take shape as living, breathing engines. Because after this final check, something bigger begins. The moment where Honda's work stops being production and starts becoming impact. Far from the quiet order of Kumamoto, Honda motorcycles step into lives that look nothing like a factory floor. Out in the world, these machines stop being products. They become routines, tools, and in many places, the difference between possibility and limitation. On a crowded morning in Bangkok, a young office worker eases a Honda Click through lanes that never truly stop moving. The soft pulse of the engine, shaped by countless inspections inside Kumamoto's test rooms, now carries a different meaning. It represents a paycheck earned on time, a family supported, a day made manageable. Her scooter may be modest and light, but in her hands it is time reclaimed and independence earned 1 mile at a time. Half a world away, in the dry heat of rural Kenya, a boda rider steadies sacks of maize across the seat of his 125 cubic centimeter Honda. The road ahead is dust and uneven earth, yet the motorcycle pushes forward without complaint. Its durability was shaped long before it reached this village, by machining rooms where tolerances are measured in thousandths of an inch. Each delivery, each errand, each journey echoes the discipline embedded into the metal back in Japan. And on a wide American highway, a Goldwing's Flat 6 glides with effortlessness. The rider feels none of Bangkok's urgency or Kenya's rugged necessity. What he feels is silence, comfort, and the quiet assurance of engineering pushed to its highest form, three worlds. One philosophy. Whether the machine is a simple commuter or a long-distance tourer, each one carries Kumamoto's pursuit of precision into everyday life. But this global reach raises a question. If Honda shapes mobility for the many, how does another legendary brand define its purpose for the few? Following this, we revisit Harley-Davidson to understand how different philosophies produce different meanings for riders. The next part sets the two giants side by side and reveals why both brands hold power, yet only one aims to move the entire world. Harley-Davidson and Honda both create machines with two wheels and an engine, but the worlds they inhabit could not be more different. Harley's identity is built on legacy, a deep, uneven heartbeat from a V-twin, chrome shaped by human hands, and factories that feel closer to artisanal studios than industrial plants. A Harley motorcycle carries a sense of belonging for the rider who chooses it. It is not meant to move the majority, it is meant to move a tribe. Honda approaches motorcycling from an entirely different universe. Inside the Kumamoto plant, the atmosphere is quiet and controlled. Almost like a laboratory, the floors gleam. The air is filtered. Every movement seems shaped by discipline rather than nostalgia. Instead of the slow hand-rubbed shine of chrome, you hear the measured rhythm of robotic welders and the subtle clicks of technicians verifying tolerances as fine as a few thousandths of an inch. Honda's identity is not loud, not dramatic. It is deliberate. Its purpose is not to crown a lifestyle, but to make mobility reachable for anyone who needs it. These opposing philosophies ripple through every decision each brand makes. Harley delivers an emotion, the myth of open highways, the sense of rebellion, the comfort of tradition passed through generations. Honda delivers certainty, the confidence that a bike will fire up on a cold morning in Minnesota, endure the red clay heat of rural Kenya, or slip through rain-soaked traffic in Sao Paulo. Harley crafts symbols. Honda creates lifelines. One manufacturer shapes culture, the other shapes daily movement. The contrast makes the picture clear, but the story is not finished until we return to the question that opened everything after this side-by-side view. We close by asking what mass-produced perfection truly means for the future of motorcycles. In the next section, we explore what mass-produced precision truly means and how Honda's relentless scale is reshaping the road ahead. At the end of Kumamoto's assembly line, there is a moment so subtle you could miss it. A single motorcycle easing out of the final inspection bay, leaving behind the bright lights and controlled stillness of the factory. It carries no ceremony, no applause, no dramatic reveal. Yet in that quiet exit lives the entire philosophy of Honda. This machine was shaped in spotless clean rooms, refined through the discipline of Kaizen, measured by robots, and judged by human instinct. Now it stands ready to merge into the motion of the world beyond the gate. From this threshold, each motorcycle will branch into a completely different life. One may join a dawn commute that winds through city streets. Another might trace a cross-country highway where the land stretches wide and unbroken. A third could take on a rural path layered in dust and heat. Their destinations diverge, yet their origins are identical. A factory built on the belief that perfection is not a stroke of inspiration, but a rhythm repeated millions of times with unwavering intent. Honda's accomplishment is not simply producing large numbers of motorcycles. It is what those numbers represent. Reliability becomes a quiet form of respect, a promise that when someone depends on their machine to get to work, to reach family, or to carry a day forward, it will answer without hesitation. That promise transforms a mass-produced product into something remarkably personal to the rider. Each motorcycle is not one among millions. It becomes the trusted companion that stands up to weather, time, distance, and need. As this journey through Kumamoto nears its close, the message sharpens. Honda is not chasing myth or prestige. It is chasing consistency, precision, and the responsibility that comes with building machines people rely on every single day. This is the essence of mass-produced perfection, not loud or dramatic, but steady enough to support lives across continents and seasons. And that is how Honda maintains its reputation for unmatched reliability and global scale precision. But the deeper meaning behind this scale, the reason these millions of machines matter, is something we have not explored yet. Following this, the story shifts away from machines and production lines and moves toward the larger truth behind Honda's global scale. Because at its core, Honda's mass-produced perfection is not simply a manufacturing philosophy, it is a commitment to moving humanity forward. It is a promise, quiet but unwavering, to keep the world in motion, one perfectly engineered mile at a time. When you study Honda's enormous production scale up close, the emotion it creates is not pride or spectacle, it is reassurance. Watching a motorcycle emerge from Kumamoto's spotless halls, shaped with microscopic accuracy and approved by people who refuse to overlook even the smallest imperfection, you feel a quiet truth. Someone has already taken responsibility for your journey before you ever touch the ignition. That promise becomes real far from the factory. A student in Manila heading to class on a simple scooter, a courier in Sao Paulo rushing medicine through congested streets, a parent in Hanoi carrying a child across the morning rush. None of them think about machining centers or Kaizen routines, yet their days depend on the perfection crafted inside those controlled rooms. In that light, Honda's purpose stands apart. Harley-Davidson builds identity. Honda builds access. One speaks to legacy, while the other speaks to the lives unfolding every single day. And if this video gave you the insight you came for and opened up new questions about the motorcycle world, then you are in luck. We have got something even better waiting for you. Click the next video on your screen, hit like, drop a hype in the comments, and subscribe. Let us dive deeper into the stories, the secrets, and the exclusive corners of the motor world that most riders never get to see.